What is Fit Club Media? We help our members who own businesses get their message in front of thousands of people who understand and are a part of the fitness community. Your company can sponsor a month at Fit Club. A donation is made with the intention of eventually giving it away to one lucky member. So for your sponsored month, your company will receive a premium promotional video shot in 4K. This video will be launched at the beginning of the month within our social media platforms, positions you as the authority in your industry. Once you become an advertiser or sponsor at Fit Club, we make sure that everyone knows about your business. We have over 600 members and our online presence is massive. People listen to our message and you should be part of it.
Yeah.
That's your one job, bro. That's literally the one job.
Yeah.
Dro, you took us right out the gates, man. We're not even ready. But that's what I'm talking about, right on time, eh?
Yes.
All right, guys, welcome to podcast number 98. Wow, we're too shy of doing 100 podcasts. I can't believe it. You know that it was almost a year ago that we started this?
Yeah.
Because we shut down. Actually, it was a year ago. March 11th, 2020 is when the world shut down. And it was 6 days after that the stock market crashed. Crazy.
That's fun.
1 year of doing this.
I can't believe it's March 11th already. Happy birthday, Kai. Happy second birthday.
Oh, Mr. Kai.
Yep.
Kai with the mullet.
Kai with the mullet.
Kai is the only kid that looks 40 and 2 at the same time.
He's a badass.
40 years old sometimes, when you look at his face at certain angles, he just looks so mature.
Yeah.
Even though he's 1 foot tall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, and welcome everybody who's on my Facebook Live. It's all 6 of you. Feel free to comment, watch, click on the screen so I know you're watching, and ask some questions. Today, RJ and I are going to be throwing out some success habits, a little bit of advice. We have a list of questions just to see. RJ's flustered today, man. RJ's flustered. Yeah, get your shit together, buddy. Get your shit together. All right, let me just keep on talking while he puts his earmuffs back on. So anyways, we got a lot of list of questions. We're going to be throwing out some fitness advice, some health food tips, just some mental or some mindfulness, how we have succeeded, where we're at, where are we as far as our own personal success. So anyways, RJ, you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, here he is, my partner, RJ.
Woo! All right, Ricky Ricardo. So
Yes.
the first question, so success, the accomplishment of aim or purpose. What are your success habits?
That's a great question. Actually, I have a few of them. There's lots of them, but I don't want to take out the whole podcast talking about it. But I think the number one thing that it's consistency. It's doing something and then being consistent about it. And I feel like a lot of people there's a lot of start and quitters, you know? I think once you realize that nothing happens quickly and that you have to trust the process and put a little money on the line, make sure that you're invested and keep doing it for a length of time, you'll become great at it. You'll become successful at it.
So investing, that would be your success habit? One habit.
Yep. Investing for sure.
Investing?
Yeah.
Success habit for me is constantly challenging myself. So right now we're in the midst of a 5-day hard start, and last minute I decided to step it up a little bit just to really challenge myself. I've always kind of wanted to do a hell week. And so right now I'm doing my whole purpose is that I realize at 5 a.m., if I don't get up at 5 a.m., everything gets pushed back. And by the end of the day, I feel anxious and incomplete.
Okay.
And so what I've done for myself is I hard start my day with a 10-minute run. And trust me, getting out of bed, first of all, waking up at 5 a.m. is not normal to most people. I know we got some crazy 5 a.m. workout people.
Not me.
But at the same time, to get up and challenge your body physically to do something that it doesn't want to do. Like, I don't want to run. I'd rather lift some weights.
Yeah.
And to go out and run and your knees are aching and your body's aching and you feel yesterday's workout and maybe you didn't get as much sleep. So my success habit is to find something that your inner bitch.
Yeah.
And you gotta beat your inner bitch and stop letting yourself giving yourself passes and excuses.
Yeah. But it feels so good when it's done. Hey?
That's it.
It's literally torture.
The hardest part is getting going.
It is, man.
Yeah.
Like, everybody says get up early. I still haven't developed that habit yet. I'm not an early morning guy. However, I do wake up every day at between 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Is that early?
pretty early for me.
For your day, for what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's appropriate.
And speaking of success, one of the things that I don't ever do is wake up to an alarm clock.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people that in itself, just the alarm clock is sort of that trigger of here we
Pisses
go
you
again,
off.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I got a hack for that, actually.
What is it?
If you go to the App Store, you look up Gentle Wake Up. So it's a Gentle Wake Up app, and slowly your screen will start to illuminate yellow.
Yeah.
And so you put it by your wherever in your room, face up, and the birds start chirping.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And I haven't had an alarm in over 2 years. I still need something to kind of let me know, because otherwise I'm checking my watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I got an hour left. How do you time that, right? So
Right.
I don't know how you just. I have to be somewhere in the morning, so that's the reason why I have to have an alarm.
Yeah.
But this is the nicest way not to be pissed off first thing in the morning.
Yeah. So to reverse engineer that, so one of the things that I don't do, and you and I are probably very different with our habits, is I try to never be committed to anything first thing in the morning, so that I'm not forced to do anything.
Okay.
And you know what, me and my wife are very different. She loves getting up early, even though she hates it, but she loves it. She loves that structure. It gives her that purpose. And to each their own, right? I personally, I just feel like a lot of people have done the whole wake up at X time in order to get everything ready and go to work. Imagine for a second if you didn't have to do that. If you just woke up whenever your body lets you.
I've done that, and I don't like it.
You don't like it, eh?
No,
I love it.
I like having structure. I like, every morning I put in 30 minutes of, now that I'm getting up at 5 in the morning, I'm putting in 30 minutes of some type of education. So for me, it's just a sense of accomplishment. I like doing my mobility. I guzzle a liter of water every morning, and now I'm doing that 10-minute run. So to have something that I have to do, if not, then I'm not going to do it. And then I find that everything bleeds into it. And when you have responsibilities, I have a business, I have multi businesses, I have kids, I have a husband to be, plus I want to work out. When you have that many layers to your life, you have to have structure, man. I'm sorry. Bill Gates has structure. All the top guys, they have set schedules. Your boy, what's his name? Andy V or Gary V.
Yeah.
That guy has a set schedule every single day, and you can't. If you have things that you got to layer on, the only way you're going to get it done is if it's in a schedule.
100%. I 100% agree. Yeah. Learning. You said something about education.
Yeah.
Give us a few tips. What would you consider learning?
Learning is finding something that you know is important in your life, or something that's going to level your life up. And
so be specific. Let's give some specific examples.
So a specific example would be so right now I'm into copywriting.
Okay.
I'm into writing so that people can relate and connect. That ultimately converts to some type of prospecting or lead gen. I also do it for other businesses. I find it fun now that I understand it and I've simplified it. But educating would be if you're looking to get into stocks. This is the first year I've ever been interested in stocks. And now that I'm educated in it and I'm seeing the rate of return that I'm getting, and I'm relating it back to my old message in my brain, and I'm like, okay, well, now's the good time to start educating yourself.
Yeah.
And so
how do you educate yourself? Where do you learn stuff?
I'll find a topic. So if I'm given very little information, so for instance, I would like to know what is Bitcoin, right? And so it just starts with there, and Google can take you down that rat race, right? Where it's
Agreed.
just there's tons of different, and they're like, what is Bitcoin for? What's the best Bitcoin investing sites? What is the trend of Bitcoin? What is the evolution? I didn't even know Bitcoin was a guy's apartment, and he's got these little computers everywhere that the room is ice cold, and they're they're mining, right? Yeah. So I didn't know any of that stuff, but now I'm educated,
right? Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is something that could be something to know about in the future.
So specifically what I'm getting at is when people are saying, well, how do I learn? How do I educate? You would say start with Google? Yeah, me too. And I would say not only start with Google, start with YouTube. YouTube is this thing that we've been given, and it is absolutely free, and it is amazing how it is untapped.
Yeah.
You can learn anything on
Anything.
YouTube, and not only that, but you could type in, you're a 45-year-old male that lives in Canada that wears a suit on Thursday that does a podcast, and I want to know something about cooking fish.
Yeah.
And you will get the most specific video.
But here's the thing too, Rick. If you search that, and you can't find it, you just found yourself.
There you go.
Your blue whale.
There you go. So that's the new business, right?
That's the new business.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: we've done it. So Jerome and I did a search on how to replace a BMW X3 2017 battery. Didn't exist.
Oh no,
It didn't exist.
do they have batteries?
They have batteries.
Do
They're
they?
massive. They're hard to take out, and on the coldest day of the year, it's not fun.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe
so we have to wing that, eh, Jerome?
Getting on another thing that a success habit is accepting change.
Yeah.
And not only like reluctantly accepting change,
Yeah.
but going after change.
Big time.
You know, that was probably one of the biggest things that I started to do was. You know, like I always say, it's this dinosaur mentality that we have, where we don't want to change anymore.
That should be made a shirt.
We should. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We don't want to change anymore. We know everything. We've done it for 25 years, blah, blah, blah. Like I hear it all the time from everybody my age. And I can tell you this, if you will go out there and try new stuff, force yourself to do new things, force yourself to be silly, force yourself to get out of your comfort zone, force yourself to sweat, force yourself to drink water.
Yeah.
Like any of those things will change your life dramatically. And that would be one of another success habit.
Just do it.
Just do it.
If you failed, at least you tried. But if you don't try, that's already a failure.
RJ, the path to success is paved in failure.
There you go.
That's another t-shirt.
You know, that dinosaur mentality actually really it resonated with me, and it actually changed me. Like, you and I are very similar in the fact that we would always say no, think about it, and then probably say yes, right? And now you and I, we like consider it, and there's a good chance that we're going to say yes versus saying no. Obviously, if it's something stupid, we're not going to do it, but if it's even stupid, we'd probably do it.
Even some stupid shit,
if it's
for sure.
super stupid, we'd do it.
Yeah. like I always say, like I never thought I'd be a fitness coach at 42 years old.
Yeah.
42. I mean, you think about anybody else who's 42, you think they're going to run in short shorts and you know.
Well, being as fit as you are too, like a lot of the stuff you do, a lot of guys can't do. Typical gym goers, and you know, I'm proud of every single gym goer. This is something that I've adopted, was that we're all, you know, if gyms, like what you said that with that video, if going to the gym was the popular thing to do, there'd be a gym on every corner, just like there is a McDonald's, a Tim Hortons, a Starbucks, a Subway.
Yeah.
But there's a gym, you know, maybe every 3 to 5 miles. I think Winnipeg is getting there pre-pandemic, but you know, you would think that every gym would have every single client that they need, and they would never have to worry about it.
Yeah. And you think about how many Starbucks do you know, and there's going to be lots. You'll know how many Starbucks are literally within eyesight of each other.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
see one there, and literally 3 blocks there's another Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, how many Starbucks do we need, right?
Exactly. So getting rid of the dinosaur mentality would be the biggest factor that helped us get successful.
100. And I got one final thing before you go on to the next one. Positive attitude. That could be the number one thing. If you anybody listening, do me a favor and consciously listen to everybody that you talk to today.
Yeah.
And listen to the first thing out of their mouth. Is it come out positive or negative? Right. And I guarantee you that 100% of it is going to be negative. Everybody wants to default to
easy.
the government and COVID and potholes and shitty weather. But it's amazing. But you get hit with like a whole, hey, how's it going? I have a great day today. You're like, what the hell just happened here? Like, you don't even understand the energy that you just got hit with, you know?
It's funny. I called, what was it, Wayfair or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was asking the girl a question. She goes, hello. And I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? She's like, how can I help you? And I'm like, sorry, what is your name? Trudy. I'm like, Trudy, do people not ask you how you're doing?
Oh, nice.
What is your claim number? And I'm like,
really?
Oh my God. So, you know what, towards the end of it, I had her laughing, which is always nice. That's always kind of like a challenge to yourself.
Yeah.
And if she denies you, then whatever, you just call again and get somebody else.
You know, we're at Vita Health yesterday or 2 days ago. We walk up. We're literally the only people in the store. One dude working the cashier. He couldn't look like he was more bored in his life.
Yeah.
And I walk up, and I'm walking up like for 10 feet. He knows that I'm coming. Like he could have gotten ready. And I always do this. And I probably should take the initiative and be like, hey, man, how's it going? And then he would snap him out of it.
Yeah.
I walk up there. He pauses. He's like, phone number. I'm like, oh, man. You know, like this is who we're dealing with in the world. Yeah.
Boop.
Yeah.
Boop.
So can't wait for the robots.
So, okay, let's move on to the next question.
Sure.
Who would you consider successful and why?
Well, lucky for me, I've done a good job in surrounding myself with successful people. But today I'm going to give a shout out to my man, JJ Rome. And I'll tell you why. He's got a family, 2 girls. And one of the things that I really appreciate that you do, Jerome, is you get on video and you sing and play musical instruments with your kids.
Yeah.
I just think that's super cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how many dads do that? And you can tell that the girls just love the hell out of you. You know, you're passionate about what you do. Like if you guys were to see the setup, in fact, let me just show you on if you're watching right now. Like this is.
Oh, don't release that.
Okay. This is what we got going on here, and Jerome takes care of it. Like if you're watching us on YouTube, like we've got 3 different camera angles going, and you watch him work, and he's just like a ninja behind there, and he's got everything moving and grooving, and he's got a smile on his face. Yeah. But mostly, Jerome, I'm going to give you a shout out, and the reason why I feel like you're successful and living a happy life is because you made a commitment to us to get fit, and man, you haven't stopped. And in fact, I think we got a big milestone.
What, you got
today?
100?
100 today.
Wow.
That's tomorrow.
Crazy.
So congratulations, man. I look at you as a success story, buddy.
You know what? How
about you?
For me, successful people evolve over time and based around what's going on in their life. And so for me, like you said, consistency is key. I got to give a shout out to Wilson. I got to give a shout out to Jesse. I mean, these guys are the extremists, right? I say you guys are the top 1% at Fickle. Like I would consider myself top, but I wouldn't say I'm like there, right? And these guys are working out 3-4 times a day. They're doing extras. They're coming in. They're being amazing coaches. Like when you're drained, right? And for them, they're always on, right? Like you never really know that they have a bad day. Wilson's a little bit tired right now, but generally these guys, when it's time to turn on. They're always genuine compassion guys, and they're doing their thing. Yeah. And of course, Jerome. Like I mean, this guy's he decided to make fitness a major part of his life, and there's no looking back. And I'll tell you this: usually in and around from January to March, this guy's extremely sick. And
yes.
I don't even, when was the last time you were sick, Jerome? I don't know. Right? So through COVID, scary, through touching things that other people touched, this guy didn't get sick once. And if you don't think that's a major impact on your life and that doesn't resonate to anybody out there, that's
a good point.
That's a great point.
Because you remember how sick he was a couple of times? About, I don't know, how 6 months, a year ago, where I think you were almost
dead,
hospital.
Man. He was in the hospital.
Yeah, you were in the hospital.
Days.
Yeah, look at that. None of that is happening now.
None. No.
Yeah. Nice. Good point. I forgot about that.
Huge.
Good.
All right. So let's talk about moving along the way to success. I think we kind of already answered that with the dinosaur mentality, but what mistakes have you made along the way?
Oh, I actually wrote this one down. Number one thing is not investing my money early, not taking finances seriously. When you're 20, if anybody out there who's watching, if you're young, trust me, 45 is going to hit you in the face in about 5 minutes.
Is 45 old, Rick?
No, not the number. It could be. In the grand scheme of things, as far as investing...
you're 45, you being 45, are you old?
No, I'm not old.
No, I don't think so.
But as far as investing is concerned, that's old.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you've got 20 years under your belt.
Unless you got money just sitting in the bank. You got
who does
50, 60,000, 100 grand.
But you should. Yeah,
you should.
Like if you're 20, you should have your net worth should be over 100 grand just by working a medial minimum wage job. You don't need to have a 6-figure income in order to be wealthy when you get older, and you don't need to retire at 65. If you put a little bit of money away when you're young, because you have the time and the compound interest underneath you, you could be a millionaire by the time you're my age. And
the cars will come.
The cars will come, yeah.
Cars will come.
And in fact, that's one of the other things is chasing women and not excellence.
Yeah.
I see so many. I mean,
chasing women is fun though.
Chasing women's fun, and there's a reason for it. Believe me, when you're a dude, you have
fun,
to.
Man.
But let's be honest. How many guys are chasing women and not chasing excellence? Like pretty much 100%, right?
Yeah.
And
they're both hard to chase. They're very, very hard to chase because if you like having multiple women, then it's a full-time gig, man. It's a lot of lies, a lot of hiding, a lot of finding new restaurants
But look at it this way: you chased excellence young, right? Good looking.
I chased excellence. Yeah.
So how hard was it for you to get girls?
It wasn't hard at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't have to chase. You chase excellence, and they just fall in your lap.
That's true, man.
That's it.
When I was into my midst of the girl hunting, I had my own house, had my own business,
exactly.
I had my own car, and yeah, the women flocked to it.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, youngsters. Like, don't worry about going into the bar. Like, I remember doing this. You go stand in a line because you're young, you don't have connections yet. You stand in a line for hours, freezing. You finally get in, and then all you do is sort of stand in the corner, and then you're that creepy guy, like, okay. And then some girl walks by, and then you peacock up, and then she walks by, and you're like, oh. And that's all you did. That's your chasing women. Like, hey, come on, guys. Come on. You should have been making money at that point.
Unless you were smart like us and you made money at the bars.
Yeah. But you know what? But the problem is I made lots of money, never invested it.
Yeah, you spent
Stupid, man. Stupid. So that's to answer your question, that's one of the mistakes I made, for sure. How about you?
I would think one of the biggest mistakes I made was resentment and bitterness, right? Like I always...
Can I have an example, please?
Example would be, let's say somebody somebody moved on and opened up their own gym,
Okay.
or they decided that they're going to go to a different gym, or somebody, whatever. Generally with the gym is where I'm a little bit sensitive.
Yeah.
It's my first baby and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard not to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say in the past year and a half to 2 years, I've really kind of focused on dropping that. I catch myself doing it, and it's one of the things that I'm going to layer into my life of not doing. I think that's something that you can remove, and there's no upside to that.
Yeah.
So I would say being bitter and being resentful, it really got me nowhere. Talking trash in a negative way, talking trash differently, like, come on, you could lift more, man. Don't be a wimp. That's different.
Of course.
But just saying, hey, you're a wimp, that's a different story, right? So I don't want to be calling people wimps. I want to say, hey, come on, don't be a wimp. Let's go.
You're kind of in that position, though, where you sort of have no choice. Because you create, I know everybody who's listening probably knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you create these champions.
Yeah.
And then they have to go,
They
right?
do, yeah.
See, if somebody, especially when they're in their 20s and they're still trying to make a dent in the world, right? So they want to see, and they see your success.
They want to be their own man.
And they want to be their own man, and that's fine.
I've come to
what else can you do, right?
That. Yeah.
So I guess the positive way to look at it
Except
is that,
you, Jerome. You've
created
already been your own man. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah. But you know what? You filter through many. You have a solid, loyal team now.
Yeah,
Everybody
we do.
just wants to be on the team as opposed to being your competition.
But I'll tell you that I think I look around, and often when things are pretty consistent in your life, so if things are not going the way that you think that they should be going, and there's more than one scenarios where it's happening in your life. So for instance, if you're getting into an argument with your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden now you're getting to an argument at work with one of your coworkers, and then you're driving home and some guy cuts you off and you're wailing at the horn, you're yelling at, that's probably not a them problem. Like, that's what I've realized is it's not around me. I always assess. If I get into an argument with Rick and I got into an argument with my wife, that means that I'm being temperament. There's something going on with me, and so I have to self-reflect on that.
That's good perspective, man.
Yeah.
That's because it's probably true.
All right, so here's a tough one.
Oh.
And we know you got a fun thing coming up soon. So what would you change about yourself if you could? Maybe not physically. Physically, I think we kind of already answered that. But what would you say that if you could change? Maybe let's go physically. So appearance on the outside, and then let's go on the inside.
Okay. So let me just put it out there. So I'm getting a hair transplant in 1 week. Not
Are they giving you any discounts? Should we mention them for this or
no
no
yet.
discounts? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
No. Not yet.
Referral code? Nothing.
So physically, and I think a lot of men would deal with this is balding, right? I'm going to go and get a little replacement, hair transplant.
Yeah.
So basically, they're going to shave my head. They're going to harvest hairs out of the back and the side of my head, and they're going to literally plant them into the front. So I'm
Very
getting
descriptive.
a whole new hairline being created.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my love handles, if we have to talk about real physical kind of stuff, that's always been a challenge of mine. I'm not blessed with fantastic genetics with respect to my body. So when the wrong places are wrong, they're pretty wrong. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, physically, I don't think I would change anything.
So do you think
about
there's
myself.
anything wrong with, like, people would be like, oh, that's vain. You don't need lips. You don't need Botox. You don't need boobs. You don't need a hairline. You don't need your love handles gone. Is that vanity, or do you think that's sanity?
Oh, I like that. That's another T-shirt. 100% it's vanity, 100% it's sanity, and I'll tell you what, and 200% it's confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody knows, and for some reason we fight this as a negative thing, that when you feel good, you look good, you're confident.
You're flying. You'll make more money.
When you're
more
confident.
attraction.
Yes, what happens when you're confident? You kill it,
it's
man.
It's an attraction. Law of attraction. You're a magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, me personally, I think that if you're going to invest in your fitness, your health, if you want to lose 15 pounds and that's your goal, then do it.
Yeah, for
Dude,
sure.
if that 15 pounds makes you happy, I say bang it out, man.
Yep.
All right. So what about inside?
And it should be a priority.
100%.
If you have to justify it because you don't want to sound shallow, I don't want to do it because vanity, whatever. Grow old gracefully, which is horse shit, by the way. But anyways, do it for your health. Like, be healthy.
But I think that you should earn it before you burn it. Meaning, like, if you're going to go and get something done, so for instance, gym membership, right? Gym memberships anywhere from $150 to $200. No problem. What does that mean? That means that you the next go around with your cell phone bill, which is yearly now, you don't get the newest iPhone.
Yep.
So then you keep your bill in and around that $50 to $80 range versus going up to the $120, $150, which are out right now a month for a cell phone because you got to get the new iPhone. That would be number one. Number two, you can, your Shaw bill. Like, do you need all those channels?
Mm-hmm.
Or can you just go with basic? Or, hey, why don't just watch YouTube or Netflix like everybody else?
Yeah.
But at the same time, so for me, physically, I'm the love handle guy too.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only one thing. And beard gray, right? So that's an easy
At least
fix.
you can color that.
That's an easy fix. But I have a love handle thing, and people are like, you're already shredded. It's like, well, I'm not shredded to the point where I want to be shredded.
Yeah.
So I get these, the fat, like they basically inject this thing into my sides, and then it basically explodes the fat cells.
Oh, yeah?
And they're gone forever, right? Now, they don't work on everybody. If you've got a lot of fat, it's not going to really make that big of a difference. But I got just the perfect amount of fat that I want gone.
Yeah.
But the process is anywhere from $500 to $700. So the way that I earn it is I got to get up at 5 a.m. I've got to go and find a couple of new clients, and I set targets, right? So first I'm going to make the money, then I'm going to spend the money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and as far as money for the membership, that's a great point. And I feel like a lot of people, as soon as they say, "Oh my God, $100 a month, that's a lot of money," actually, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not. Because here's what's going to happen. Right now, when you're not a workout person, you're always looking for some epic shit to do, right? You're driving somewhere, you're paying a lot of money to
or you're going to IKEA, lining up for 2 hours,
shopping therapy, or you're going to the outlet mall, you're going to the movie theaters, you're driving 2 hours to Kenora so that you can sit on a patio and drink to drive 2 hours back. You just wasted $100 in gas.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, when you're not into fitness, you're always looking and having to spend money to make yourself happy.
Totally.
When you get into fitness, this is going to be mind-blowing for a lot of you. You're going to save money.
Yeah.
So when you spend your monthly, what happens is all of a sudden what fills your time is working out, which is free once you pay for it, right?
Yeah.
After that, you're going to make fitness friends. And you know what fitness friends do?
Yeah.
Walks.
Yeah.
Walking is free.
Coffees at the most.
You know what else fitness people do? They don't get gluttonous, and they don't get, I shouldn't say that because some of us do.
Yeah.
We don't get gluttonous for the most part. And, chances are instead of going to, a buffet and drinking 20 beers, we might have a nice picnic lunch while we hiked up a mountain. So you see, all of that money is saved. You will literally recoup that money almost instantaneously. And that's another one of the factors to success for me has been understanding that.
Well,
finding
you
free things to do.
In the summer, once it hits summer, I can't see the truck being here.
Never.
Yeah.
It's almost never. And in fact, when we travel to Hawaii, when RJ and I travel with all of us, how much money do we spend?
Oh, little.
Little. Like we find the littlest hole in the wall to eat at. We don't go where the tourists are. We work out on the beach. We climb mountains. We do pull-ups on trees. And it's all free.
Yeah.
I know. I remember the first time because prior to traveling with you, we would always go to an all-inclusive.
Yeah.
Drink my face off, eat my face off, which of course is free. I get it, but you're not always on the compound. You get off, and then of course you're buying those stupid freaking knickknacks that everybody has to have. I don't even know why. That has all changed completely. Honestly, God, I'll go to Mexico with maybe $300 US, and I'll come back with 280.
Yeah, you could save a lot of money. Just like you said, investing into your fitness, because once you get into, so like right now with the 5-day plan, honestly, I love eating out, Rick. I eat out, I could eat out almost every single day. Yep. And each time we eat out is $50. Like if I go to Za Pizza Bistro, it's going to be $50 or, you know what I mean? Like,
so you just shit on my point completely.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like it's that's what it is that if I'm on a plan, so like right now I'm on my 5-day plan, I haven't eaten out this entire week.
Yeah.
Usually I'll eat out twice.
Right.
So you're looking at $100.
So you're conscious of what you're spending and when you don't have.
Well, I don't spend money when I'm on a plan.
Yeah.
And I'm just, drinking shakes like $1. This thing costed me $1.
Yeah.
Versus if I went over to Subway, it would have costed me 10 to create the same amount of nourishment.
Yeah, for sure.
So you definitely save money being fit.
Yeah, discipline in your finances too.
Yeah. I think they for sure relate. So what was one of the hardest decisions that you've ever had to make? When did you make that decision of I'm out of the bar, I'm getting out of the bar and I'm getting into what life brings me?
Okay.
What was that?
Two things.
When was that? When did it just get you?
What are you, me? Two decisions that I made that were tough. One was in my 20s, which was getting a vasectomy. I was 24 years old, and at that point, I thought...
That's a big decision.
It is a big decision. Yeah, it was huge. And you know what? I didn't go into it lightly, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
And I did it because I guess I never I never just had that fatherly instinct. You know what I mean? I never wanted to be a dad. But more importantly, I was really, really worried about knocking up a girl that I didn't love.
Yeah.
That was really one of the biggest things.
yeah, I
And
know
then
what
for
you're
the
saying.
rest of my life, I would be, committed to this person
Yeah.
through this kid,
Yeah.
right? So that was
Can you imagine?
yeah.
Just close your eyes for a second.
I
right?
know. And you know what?
Just imagine.
Thank God I was smart enough and I was sober enough for one weekend, I guess,
Yeah.
to make this decision.
Okay.
But the other one, to answer your question, when I
Yeah.
decided to get out of the bar life and the party life was when I hit that rock bottom during my drug episode. And I called my guy and I said, don't ever sell this to me again.
Oh.
And that was probably the hardest decision, because when you go through a life, anything, when you're used to something, it would be like all of a sudden this gym just doesn't exist anymore,
Yeah.
right? You're like, what
Yeah.
do I do in my life? How do I live my life without this thing?
COVID one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was 3 years in the making, and I had a really low point as far as a night of partying by myself, very depressing. And I just made a decision that I was no longer going to introduce drugs into my life anymore. And that was the hardest decision I ever had to make. So
I would say
How about you?
three key points when I was when I was transitioning from just training athletes to training lifestyle clients like yourself. I made a decision that I've got to take this serious and make this my full-time job. So that's kind of when I was in the midst of my partying, and I had enough money for me, and I was like, I gotta, I'm seeing so many great staff go through the doors because these are grown people. It was okay when I was like 24 and I had another guy who was 19 work with me. He's working at home or living at home, and he was in school or whatever. But I was like, man, if I want to keep these rock stars around, they've got to get paid like adults, right? I got to be able to provide so that they can provide.
Yeah.
So that was the first hard decision that I had to make. Second hard decision was when I said, all right, I'm done with this lifestyle. I need to get serious.
Yeah.
And that was right before Nary and I connected. So it was kind of like, it was January, and it was like, I was like, I'm done. Like, that's it. Like, I need to.
So you remember a specific date?
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I was in Whistler. We were snowboarding and we were drinking, and I was just not feeling good, about myself. And I just woke up the next day and I said, listen, I got to make some changes, man. This is not how I want to live the rest of my life. And so, boom, got back and just, I went 21 day, like Nary said it on Nary's Kitchen. I went 21 days, no sex, because I said, if you and I are going to connect, we can't get sexually involved, because then I'm just like, it's just, it was kind of what I needed to do. So I did a 21 day, no sex, no nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. For 21 days straight. And then the third decision was when I decided to live my best life with my 4 key elements. And so getting up early, going to bed early, saying no to hanging out late, drinking, I'm not a big drinker, but at the same time, I haven't had a drink in almost 2 years, and I haven't partied in almost 2 years. So I think that was kind of like, I love that I can just do these things. And so that's the decision that I was just like, I could just not swear for the rest of my life. And I just did it. And when you do it and then you continue to do it, then you start like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was like the challenge that I gave to myself, that, man, you can freaking do anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you lose a lot of friends in that transition?
Yeah.
And by lose, I don't necessarily mean like you just were like, beat it, I never want to talk to you again. But you
we just stopped seeing. You stopped seeing any of those guys. And you know what? I love seeing my guys on Instagram and stuff, and I'll go hang out with them once in a while. But I can only be around them for so long. I've either got to dive in, and it's hard to be around people that are doing the things that used to bring you a lot of joy.
Exactly.
And so I still show face, because I still believe in old friends, and never forget where you came from. But at the same time, it has to be limited exposure, right? So like, you got to know when that line is to leave. And that was one of the things that I was doing is, man, this party's getting hype. Everybody's going nuts. It's like a pool party, and it's just, I know this is going to be a 6 a.m.er, and then I leave at like 10:30.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
The trigger, right?
It is.
Yeah, like all my old friends too from the party days, they're all awesome people. Like, I would never ever share. I have nothing bad to say about them, but they're all my triggers.
Yeah.
I know that if I hang out with this dude, we're going to be doing drugs until 6 in the morning. If I know I hang out with this girl, bad things are going to happen. If I know I hang out with this crew, we're going to get into a fight. Like, but they're all great people. But I just know that that's not my life path anymore, and I just can't be set back even one hangover, one weekend, one night.
Well, the thing about friendships is that you're going to constantly be evolving. And I don't think it's a bad thing to not have the same people around you. I think it's phenomenal if you can get the people to be interested and invested in the things that you do. I think fitness is probably one of the hardest things to get people around you to do.
Yeah.
But as you kind of make different changes, like, you went from a single person to a married person. Now you're hanging out with his friends or her friends and your friends. And then it becomes, now you have kids. So now it's like, you don't hang out with those friends. So it's like a constant evolvement. And I think people just get stuck in holding on to things in the past. And I think that as you're evolving and as life develops, what is most important to you, you're going to find people that surround yourself with those.
And you shouldn't feel guilty about moving on either.
No.
That's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people stay. They're like, well, I don't want to look like that guy that like doesn't talk to my buddies anymore. I feel like everybody kind of knows, right? They get it. No one's going to take too much offense to it. I've gotten a little blowback from some of my old friends because I don't communicate with them anymore. But at the same time, they're like, but we get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see you walking around your short
I think
shorts
once
being
you get a
coach.
little older, I think a lot of people understand. And
Totally.
It's
That's the other thing, is the transitioning from the 20-year-old mindset to the older mindset. It's way different, but you don't know because you only know them as younger people. You don't realize that they've transitioned as well, right? You got to give everybody a little more credit.
All right, so we're going to rewind a couple of years ago, Rick, to your teenager self.
Just a couple years ago.
Just a couple years ago.
Yeah, no problem.
What advice would you give to your teenage self? So you're standing there and there's little Ricky.
Yeah.
What would you say to him?
It always comes down to the money.
Teenager.
Yep.
So you're like under 18.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When the earlier you can create habits, the more they're going to extend into your adult life. Now, I was lucky when I was young to always be relatively entrepreneurial. I always understood the idea of making money through means other than a job. I was never afraid to have a job. I was always worked really hard. I got into the family business early. But the problem is that we don't look when you're young, and I know it's hard, and maybe there's just not enough people banging this into young people's heads, but you shouldn't have this "you're only young once" mentality, right? You are only young once, but you also have to remember that it is your responsibility when you're young to take care of your 25-year-old self, 35, 45-year-old self. So at the end of the day, it would have been taking a little bit more money and maybe saving a little more, understanding how to hold on to stuff, not necessarily being a spender. That would have been it. How about you?
I would tell my teenage self to stop trying to impress everybody.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I was always trying to look good for people, and I don't know, in the end, it didn't really even matter.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say stop trying to impress somebody.
How would you possibly, when you're young, though, how do you possibly not do that? Because I feel like if you're like the type of person, so here's an example.
Yeah.
You have two teenagers, and you got one, let's say that's, he's on the football team, a typical jock. And then you have the other guy who's a gamer sitting in his mom's basement.
Okay.
We always know that you're going to associate a positive to the athlete,
right,
and the negative to the kid in the basement.
Yeah.
But the kid in the basement is not trying to impress anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the right way? Is that kid's okay?
I think it comes down to having somebody that you look up to kind of tell you how it is. I think that at that age, you need somebody that's not a fictional character on TV to basically break it down for you, and so that you can, imagine a guy like my older self walking, like, dude, what does it matter? What does that guy even? Well, are you guys even friends? Like, do you guys talk on the phone? Do you guys hang out outside of school? Like, who gives a damn?
Yeah.
Don't worry about him, man. Do your thing. You grow. You know what I mean? We'll see where everybody's at in 10 years.
Yeah.
If somebody would have said that to me,
yeah,
probably would have been a little bit different.
Well, something that I would probably say, this doesn't necessarily affect me. It did, but it didn't, is focusing on secondary education as being the be-all, end-all of having a successful life. I feel like, especially nowadays, the world has changed completely, even in the last 1 year.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. COVID changed the entire world.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go to school to go heavily into debt to come out with a degree of bullshit that's not really going to give you a job, don't do it. Look for a different path. If you're going to go to school to be a doctor specifically, fine. But going back to saving money, if that's your plan early on, make sure that you have some money saved for education, because we've heard this a million times that student debt is crushing people out there, So try to stay out of student debt.
So that would be your 20-year-old self?
That would be
usually post-secondary.
Correct.
20?
Yep.
So my 20-year-old self, I would say get more mentors. So in my 20s, I feel like that set me up for success in my 30s. And, I had a couple mentors, but it would have been nice to have a mentor in the in more elements of my life.
Yeah.
And had I done that, honestly, like if you can find a really good coach that you can connect with, they bring you 10 years advancement in whatever it is that you want to do.
Would you say coaching is better than education?
Yeah, because it's to whatever that you're passionate about, right? So like with education, you usually take about 20 to 30 different courses that don't really get you to the answer that you're really looking for. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with education. Education got me to where I'm at, but I would say if you're looking to, like if somebody's looking to get into the stocks, like a guy like you would be a great mentor for that, because you've already put a lot of the real world education and implications into being a specialist at it.
And
I think that you would have to be successful. So I wouldn't get mentorship from somebody that isn't successful.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't get money advice from a guy who's broke.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, if the guy that's broke, if he's got some type of passageway into getting you more money and you use him as a vehicle, that's a different story. But I wouldn't take advice from this guy if he didn't have,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You want to get the right coaches.
That's right.
For sure. I agree 100%. I feel like school is great for learning stuff, like random stuff. Read it out of a book.
Yeah.
Try and remember as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's great for structure as far as showing up on time, having classes, being accountable to something. It's great for being tested as far as you got to remember this and then you're going to write a test on it. And it's great for social circles, right? Like you're going to have friends forever out of it. That's great too. But at the end of the day, school doesn't necessarily bring out your personality. It's not necessarily teaching you life skills. It doesn't make you understand how confidence and energy and attitude will, when you walk into a room and you have the right things, you're hired. I want you. I'm going to buy whatever you're selling.
We'll teach you. We'll train you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like a mixture of both, and I would encourage anybody out there, if you got a young person in your life, find them a coach. Find them a coach for sure.
So what would you tell yourself right now? What's the advice that you'd give to yourself that would last 5 years?
Advice that I'd give myself for
right now,
5 years.
Yeah. So 49, that's the cutoff point.
Who's 49?
No, I'm saying what would you tell yourself from 45 to 49?
Okay,
so this day moving forward.
I'll tell you what it is, because I'm already doing it, and that is to focus 100% on me, on you. So, for example, I'm doing all the things that I want to do as far as health and fitness, vanity, once the hair is done, then I'm going after the teeth. I want to make sure that I work out every day, try and be as healthy as possible. I'm on a high level set of supplementations in order to ensure that I'm working at peak performance. I'm researching the hell out of everything that is like life hacks. What are the small things that I can do? Can I drink bulletproof coffee? Can I drink water with flavors in it? I don't know, just anything, right?
Yeah.
Peptides. Have you heard of peptides?
Yes.
Yeah, I just heard about it. I
want to know how it goes.
I want to learn more about it as well. So that's the advice I'm giving you. Between 45 and 49, focus on yourself. How about you? 35 to 39.
35 to 39, stay in the 5 a.m. club. Just stay there, and the rest will work itself out. I get the biggest high sense of accomplishment. Like right now, I'm done all my work for the day. I could sit here and just talk to you. Yeah. So I've earned, I don't have to earn everything. When I say that, like I like to say that I earned it. It's just like I work out to eat, right? Like I'm working out to eat. I want to have a big meal today. I'm going to crush it. Yeah. I like to get all my things done, and then I can have time to hang out with Rick, to, I can just lay there and play trucks with my kids. You know what I mean? Like I like to get everything done that creates the massive amounts of success possible. Then I enjoy myself. So if I got to get up 4 hours, like even when we were in Hawaii, the last time around, I was still getting up at 4 a.m. because if we were gone all day, I want to still crush it first thing in the morning, do whatever it is that I need to do for my work. And then, I don't have to think about nothing. And then I just do it again tomorrow. If that means me going to bed at 9, I'm sorry. It's one less Netflix for me.
How many people do you think out there, what percentage of, let's say the adult population, the working population, can, whenever they want, for the most part, have their day done by 11 o'clock so they could randomly shoot a podcast or play with their kids as much as they wanted to? Like, I feel like that's success. I feel like when you don't have to grind it out. I mean, like you hear it all the time about people who work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 7 to 3 or midnight shifts. And it always I never ever see the positive out of it because they never come be like, I love working for 8 hours a day and having a 1 hour break and two 15-minute lunches. I love my coworkers that are toxic and piss me off all the time. I love the fact that my boss is an asshole. Like, I never hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like success is when you can literally do whatever you want, whenever you want.
When you want,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
And if it's success, sometimes it takes sacrifice, right? Like
absolutely. And risk.
And risk.
And risk.
Yeah. And so, like when people say that they, I wish I had the time, right? Or it must be nice to have money.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, don't say that to me, because you can do the same thing. You just need to change up some things in your life. And honestly, it's not that hard. It might start with you going to bed at 9 o'clock. Like, what are you doing past 9? Your kids shouldn't be up that late. So if your kids are up, then honestly, like if the kids are up, I'm going to bed. Like, this is the way it is. I'm going to bed. If what's on your phone that's so important at 9 p.m. And even if it's work, even if you're a realtor, and it's 9 p.m. So what if that deal goes through? Who cares? You'll get another one tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they said, how much wealth is enough? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And you know what? Another thing is our vices. Our vices. You know, the drugs, the smoking, the booze, the porn.
Yeah.
You know, if you consider that advice, like I was watching Bedros, and he said, guys, in order to up your life, you got to beat your vices. And now every time I'm working on it, I'm like, beat your vices, beat your vices, beat your vices. And it's just one of those things that resonated with me. So, you know, what is it? What is something that you probably do just a little too much? Try and beat that.
For me personally, it would be too much, probably like social media, right? Like I love everything that's going on. Like I don't have a negative. Sometimes I get triggered, but I would say 8 out of 10, the things that I'm looking at are all positive within the group. So I really like to connect, and I don't want anybody to feel like RJ's not there, right? I don't know why, but I guess that's one thing I need to work on. And so for me, I'll be, on the phone. The next thing you know, I'll be on my phone too long, which pushes me late. And I still like to do just 15 minutes of just nonsense, watching YouTube, random NBA highlights or something stupid I found, guy trying to do scams on the internet and gets caught. And I don't know. I always like to do it.
I watch that guy too.
Yeah. So I get oftentimes I'll get to bed late.
So, but 15 minutes, or are you saying 15 minutes, but really it's an hour and a half?
It depends. Yeah. So if it's like a good Netflix show, sometimes I'll put in 3 shows, and next thing you know, it's 11, right? And that 5 a.m. doesn't happen. And for me to be able to do a workout plus the virtual workouts and go as hard as we do, plus be fresh for my day when I, have podcasts and questions being thrown at me, I have to be on top of my game. And it's not like I have to. I'm not forced to be like that, but it's what I choose to be. And so for me to be functioning at full capacity, I know I need to go to bed early.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. So last one here. What would you tell your retiring self? So you're 50 plus. Yep. What are you telling
Very
old
easy.
Man Rick?
Very easy. Stay in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get older, even at my age, it's all about staying functionally active. Because everybody knows, most people know that as we get a little bit older, we get busy, blah, blah, blah. Our health goes to shit. And I'll tell you this, as you get older, it gets hard to get it back.
Yeah.
And once you have it. So I used to always ask this question, this because you've been sitting beside me for a year. What does retirement look like to you? Right? Yeah. What does it look like?
I haven't heard that one in a while.
Yeah. Because prior to this, me asking all these questions, I always had it in my head that retirement is sitting on a beach, drinking pina coladas, watching the sunset. That's retirement.
For sure, you're not drinking a pina colada.
No, but that's sort of what we're sort of told. Like even when you look at the Lauder 649 commercial, what is it?
What is freedom?
Somebody on a beach, somebody somewhere warm. That's it. But so you can only look at something for so long. I don't give a shit if you're in Hawaii looking at the ocean. After 5 hours of it, you want to do something else.
And you know what? Honestly, I've seen it done. Like Nary and I, like Rick and Jen are always on the go.
I just can't sit there.
You can't. I think you put in 20 minutes on a beach and then you're out going for a hike.
I got to move. But I just feel like a lot, and I've heard this many times, is that people will retire at 65 and then they're dead at 67 because they lose their purpose. Right? They lose their purpose. So what would I tell my 50-year-old self, which I will be a retired 50-year-old, is to stay in shape, keep yourself surrounded by people that are younger than you so that you always feel youthful, and have a purpose. Like, do something that fulfills you now. You know, you should have the money to pay for it.
I like hanging out with the younger guys, you know, like Wilson and Jesse. They're not that much younger than me, but they're definitely like, you know, physically.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They've got that pep in their step. And I like being around them because they give me a sense of energy. But I also like to be around the guys that are older than me. I would say like some of my best friends are in their late pushing. They're almost, you know what I mean? Like they're older. Like Jay, that guy Jay was in here. He's 49.
I know.
I'm like, man, these are my people. Like the old, and I love being around guys. So right now I'm into the David Goggins, right? And I never really got into this guy. I didn't like him yelling at the camera and swearing and, you know, talking about this and that.
Yeah.
But then I did his bio and I'm like, man, the guy was born in 1977. I'm 82.
Yeah.
This guy's running 100 miles. You know what I mean? He's doing interviews. He's pushing it.
Yeah.
And so I like seeing that. I like seeing everybody that's defying the typical 45-year-old or the typical
100.
38-year-old.
Yeah.
So for me, I like to, what I would tell my 50-year-old self is don't get complacent, because one area of your life becomes a spiral. It's like that little mess in your house that you kind of let build, and next thing you know, your car's messy. Next thing you know, your bedroom's messy. Next thing you know, you're a slob. You haven't gotten a haircut in a year, and you know, all of a sudden you're growing hair in places that you should have shaved a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I think that as you get older, it's easy to get complacent, and it's a spiral effect. And once you hit that peak of laziness, it takes something to really shock you to bring you out of it.
And you know what happens? What goes with laziness is sedentary. And sedentary means you're watching TV, which means you're watching the news, which means that now you are the most negative person in the world. And that's when you become old very, very fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you do if fear was not a factor and you could not fail?
One thing or a bunch of stuff?
Let's go. What do you got?
I'll give you one
Give
thing,
me three.
man.
Okay,
Okay,
one.
I'm going to give you this one for sure.
Okay.
There's this dude that jumps out of an airplane. Like, I've always wanted to jump out of an airplane, parachute down. Everybody does that, no big deal. Bungee jump, big deal. Everybody does it. There's a dude that jumps out of an airplane, no parachute, and lands in a net. I would do that. I would jump into an ocean with sharks and just swim around and try and hold on to sharks.
Yeah.
And I would climb a mountain.
Yeah.
I climb a mountain, you know, just with your life suspended by a rope. So those would be the three physical challenges that I would do.
I think if fear wasn't a factor, the fear of failure is a big one for me. And through this whole COVID thing, my biggest fear in life was always if they shut my gym down.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Another fear was getting injured. Right. And I've been there and I've been injured. So it's like if fear wasn't a thing, I like having fear because it gives me something to overcome. And when you overcome that fear, you're like we said, it's just one thing spirals into the next thing. And when you crush it, like the sky's the limit.
Okay, so we know the fear of the gym closing down, the fear of you getting hurt. So what would you just do?
I would just live my life. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like if it's
you do that now. So
that's what I'm saying.
Exceptional.
Like prior to the whole COVID thing, I would do things that I didn't want to do because I knew I had to do them. Otherwise, I would be fearful of what would happen. And now I faced the worst of it, Rick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I faced the worst case scenario. They shut my gym down. Like that's the worst thing you can do. I've been building this gym since 2004. I've been in this industry since 2002.
Yeah.
Right? We're looking at almost 20 years. So to take away my sense of identity, I've always been known as the trainer. To take that away from me, that's probably the worst thing that you can do. And they did it, and nothing changed.
Yeah. You know what else I'd do?
What?
I'd streak.
Streaking?
I'd totally go to a football game and I'd run balls out down the field.
All right.
And then I would just like tackle guys and fight them off. Yeah.
All right. If I wasn't fearful, what would I do?
Give me something.
What would I do? I would go swimming in the ocean, in the depths of the sea, where all the sharks and whales and everything lay, and I would like to go and swim with them.
You know what else?
When I'm sitting on top of the water on a surfboard, I'm scared as hell.
I know. Like, who knows what kind of monster?
Something touches your foot or whatever.
And they're not little pickerels there.
No.
Like, these are giant
fish.
like building-sized animals that are down there with like 17 eyeballs and whatnot.
Yeah,
right?
I would take a boat to the middle of the darkest, deepest ocean, and I would go swimming.
Would you walk into? I would go into a gang-infested area of Los Angeles and be like, "Bring it! Who wants a piece of this?" Like I would do something like that if it was no
You know what?
fear.
They do that. You ever watch those like pranks,
I
hood
do.
pranks?
I do, and they get their ass kicked.
But nothing really happens to them. They don't die, so it's nice seeing that,
I
right?
know.
Like these guys aren't getting shot. They're just then most of the. So the funny thing. So let's give them some context here.
Okay.
So these couple jokesters, they go into the hood and they go into like the Comptons, like the real ones that everybody's scared of, right?
Yeah.
And they go up to these guys and they say, "Hey man, you want to bang?" Right? And he's got this drink. It's a bang drink,
Oh, okay,
right? So
yeah.
you go and say that to a gangster. He's like, "Hey man, you want to bang?" The guy's like, "Yo man, what's up?" He's like, "You want to bang? Like you want to bang? You want to bang right now? Me, you, bang." And the guy's like, "Yo," and then they start fighting. And 9 out of 10 of these gangsters cannot fight.
I know.
They cannot-
Hail makers, right?
They're just like this, and their
Yeah.
pants are falling down, and yeah, man, it's so funny. And when I saw that, I was like, man, why would I be scared?
Yeah.
Now going into one of the toughest hoods in Mexico, or somewhere where you're gonna, the Philippines, or
Yeah.
that would be a whole different element.
Well, I remember when Jen and I were traveling the first time we went to. This was right after we started the fitness thing, and we started wanting to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And we went off the what do you call it? The compound? What do you call it?
Oh, yeah.
The resort.
Resort, yeah.
And you walk past this giant gate, and we walked in there, and all of a sudden I remember Jen saying, "Holy, this shit just got real."
Yeah.
Because you go from all the, everything's all nice and safe, full of tourists, and now you're like right into it. Regular people riding the bus, and you got an ox over
Yeah.
here, and some guys washing windows across, and you're just like, I got nowhere to hide anymore. But
Yeah.
it was exhilarating, and I really
What
loved
do
it.
you remember what you wore?
No.
I know when I go out,
know.
I try to dress down big time. Like I'm not wearing my short pink shorts off the resorts.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to look like a goof.
But you know what else was cool? Since we're talking about being fearless, or if we had no fear, have you ever taken a Colectivo?
What's that?
A Colectivo is from Cancun down the highway. It takes you all the way to Yucatan Peninsula, and it's basically these white vans that just drive up and down, and you just stand on the side of the road, and they know to pick you up, and it costs like 10 pesos or some
So
shit.
cheap, yeah.
It's super cheap, but you sit there in a big van and you're riding with other people.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I did, and if I told anybody from Canada to do that, they'd be like, "Are you crazy? There's no chance I'm doing it." And I would say 100%, one of the coolest things that you could do is take a Colectivo, stay with a local. They're super friendly, man. They're really nice.
Yeah, I would say
It's
for sure if you're traveling, explore outside. Nary and I have gone to Thailand. We've gone to Bali.
Yeah.
And you would look at the traffic. There's no lights. And it's backwards. Like the right side is the left side driving. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And you drive these little scooters, and there's no turn signals. It's just people honking at you.
Yeah.
And you're like, just get into it. And honestly, like every time I get on a plane, I honestly say to myself, this is it.
Like fearful of planes?
I'm not fearful of planes, but I'm just like, you know what? If I die today, let me see what I have to do to make amends.
Do you fear of dying? Do you have a fear of dying? Are you ready to die if you had to fall on your sword for a reason?
Am I ready to die? I think that I have a lot to live for.
Yeah.
So I don't want to die. But if I were to die, I'm dead.
If you got a terminal illness, cancer, how do you think you would handle it?
I think that I would handle it exactly like I did when I had my knee injury. I think that I would be a more compassionate, understanding, slow-paced person, and I'd be just surrounding myself with people and just being the best person I can be.
Would you sit there waiting?
I would
for the
probably be a
inevitable?
better person that way. I don't know, but I don't want it to happen, and I'm actually fearful of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But since the knee, it really slowed me down, and so that gave me some perspective as to what it is. I don't want to be like that. I've been there. It sucks, right? Moving around really slow, being sick, being on meds, like it's terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
What I'm saying is, do you think you would like wait it out in the hospital till you ended it, or would you be like, I'm out of here? And
I'd be
jumping out of
there.
airplanes.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't be. Yeah, I would be moving for sure. Yeah.
I think so.
So last question here,
Yep.
Rick. Are
Okay.
you living the life of your dreams?
100% I am.
Nice.
100%. And I say that proudly, and I say that because I have created that life for myself. And I'm not going to give you the whole story, but back in 2014, it all started with a garage sale. And basically, real quick, I went down to live in a minimalist lifestyle, a sober lifestyle, a fitness lifestyle. I created the man who I am in order to attract the woman that I'm married to today. And I made sure that I interjected myself in the circle of the right people. And, today I wake up financially secure and healthy. And, all I need is a few plugs up in the front here and I'll be golden, man.
Yeah.
So, yes. How about yourself?
I think so. I'm back to coaching, which I really love and enjoy, making connections with the people. And, I'm a guy that likes to get a lot of things done and continue to move and evolve. So I would say that I go in and out of moments of my dream life. Like if I overwork myself, then I'll, go back to being super, high strung.
Yeah.
But I have that realization that I can get out of it. And in the end, what's the worst that can happen?
I hear you. All right. Great podcast. Any more questions?
Boom. That's it.
That's it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching me on Facebook, make sure you go over to YouTube, search under Fit Club Media, and subscribe to the channel.
Let's go.
Thanks for watching.
Let's go.
See you next Thursday.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Woo.
Later.